Good morning, ladies. Happy Tuesday. My name is Ashley Wiseman, and this is my little girl, Reese. I thought it was appropriate for her to join us today because we are going to be talking about pregnancy and breastfeeding and how sometimes in our business it can be an obstacle with women. I know that a lot of us work with moms or moms-to-be in our business, and it can be a potential obstacle because I know that there are a lot of women that are concerned that are pregnant or breastfeeding. And so I wanted to talk about a little bit how to overcome those objections and still be successful with breastfeeding and pregnant clients. So a little background for you. I was in my third trimester of pregnancy with Reese when I joined Koinonia Athletic as a coach. And it was one of my concerns, like I'm pregnant, I'm promoting these programs and I want to make sure that they, are okay for pregnant and breastfeeding women because those are the people I'm going to be working with. So I actually talked to my midwife and my doctor about Shakeology. I brought in the packet, and I think my midwife said something like, "Oh my goodness, I think every pregnant woman and breastfeeding woman should be drinking this. This is just like full of amazing nutrients and so good for you." And so I took that as awesome feedback. I did some research myself. You're always going to find contradictory opinions on things like this, but I feel like you ultimately need to do what's best for you. And that's what I always tell my clients. I tell them, one, you need to talk to your doctor first if you feel passionate or concerned about this. Number two, I think you need to do what you feel is best. And then I also tell them what my doctor told me. So I say, if you're concerned, please talk to your doctor. Please, do what you feel is best. But this is what I did, and this is what my doctor said. And so that's kind of usually how I handle it when a breastfeeding client or pregnant client says well, I don't know if I should drink Shakeology. I don't want it to affect the baby. And so that's how I kind of initially start with Shakeology. I also always emphasize the positive benefits that Shakeology brings. I think that it's kind of quite humorous sometimes because pregnant women are often snacking on their cravings and foods that they have to have, that are much worse for us than Shakeology. Shakeology is actually probably one of the healthiest things we can be consuming, and they're concerned by it. And so I also say that in a kind way. I just say, we could be eating a lot worse foods being pregnant and breastfeeding, and I think that this is actually a really easy way to add something that has a ton of nutrients and that is super good for us when those cravings come on, because they help with cravings. So emphasize the positive benefits. We could be eating and drinking much worse. Along those lines with Shakeology, I've had some clients tell me that they've tried, as they're breastfeeding, that they've tried the original Shakeology and their baby has experienced gas, or they're convinced that that's why their baby's not sleeping well. And so I always say, well, have you tried the vegan? Because sometimes the vegan doesn't have whey protein in it. And so sometimes whey protein can be a little bit sensitive on infants' digestive systems. And so I always suggest and recommend that they try it, the vegan version, because I've heard a lot of women have a little bit more success with the vegan protein or the vegan Shakeology when they're pregnant or nursing. So that is another recommendation I would give if someone comes back and says, well, this has been giving my baby issues, or, I want to do what's best for my baby. I would say, well, if whey protein is a concern for you, then I would absolutely use the vegan because it uses pea protein rather than whey protein. As far as the 21, I'm going to focus in on the 21 Day Fix specifically. But as far as the fitness programs and that sort of thing in terms of working out and exercising while pregnant or breastfeeding, I've gotten that a lot as well. And I actually did the 21 Day Fix while I was pregnant. I did a lot of the modifications, and so that's something that I think is super important to make note of to your potential client is say, there's a gal in the video that's a modifier and it's a great person to follow if you're pregnant. There's lots of modifications available, and I always told people, like, this is something that you can use during your pregnancy, but also post-pregnancy when you're trying to get that, pre-pregnancy body back. And so tell them that there's different fitness levels within the video that they can follow. That helps a lot. And then I've had breastfeeding clients that are concerned that exercise is going to affect their supply. And, I have 2 kids, and I've been pregnant and active in both of them. And I've nursed both kids until I nursed my first son until he was 13 months old, and she's about 6 months old, and I've been nursing her. Excuse me. And I've been active post-pregnancy in both of them, and my milk supply has been fine. But the one thing that I've had to really be aware of and conscious about is my water intake and my food intake. If I have those 2 things on track, then if I can exercise honestly as hard as I want, as long as I'm drinking enough water and eating enough calories. And so I always tell them that exercise shouldn't affect your milk supply as long as you're drinking plenty of water and eating plenty of food. And then that brings us back to the 21 Day Fix eating plan for breastfeeding and pregnant women. So usually I have breastfeeding and pregnant women follow the calculation for the maintenance goal. So in your eating plan, there's the original equation if you're wanting to lose weight, and then further back in the eating plan book, there's an equation for people that are wanting to maintain and use the 21 Day Fix program for long term. And I always recommend that they follow that equation, and then if they are breastfeeding, I have them actually add 300 to 500 calories onto that equation. Because when you're active and you're breastfeeding, you're burning lots of calories. So, and then if they're pregnant, I just have them use that maintenance calorie range if they're feeling hungry. I always tell them the first week or so, use that as a gauge and really focus on how you're feeling. So I tell them, if you're hungry, add a couple hundred more calories, add another green container, add another red container so that you are feeling better, because the last thing that we want is for our pregnant and nursing moms to be feeling hungry, and we definitely don't want our nursing moms to lose their milk. So I just emphasize real foods. Obviously, when women are pregnant, we're not focusing on fat loss. We're focusing on nutrition and just getting those nutritious, dense foods in our diet and moving and staying active. And so I would also just emphasize that. I actually led a 21 Day Fix pregnant women group. I had about 10 women that were pregnant, and we did a modified version of the 21 Day Fix. It was totally doable. I had great feedback on it. But I do think that it's important that we emphasize, the modifications that we can do for our exercise, the changes that we need to make to the eating plan, because that's very important. And then also how beneficial Shakeology can be as a pregnant and nursing woman. All of our nutrients that we're consuming is going towards our baby, pregnant or nursing. And Shakeology provides so many awesome nutrients. So I would just really, when you're talking to those pregnant and breastfeeding clients, just really stay positive and talk about the positive benefits and the ways that we can modify and make this a lifestyle change that we can do during pregnancy, post-pregnancy, breastfeeding, and afterwards and beyond. So I hope these tips are helpful for you. I am a certified personal trainer, a group fitness instructor, and like I said, I've been pregnant twice and I've breastfed both babies. So if you have any questions, please comment below with any specific questions or objections that you've received maybe that you need help overcoming, and I would be more than happy to help you guys. I hope this is helpful for you guys, and have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.